Hello, and welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase with your hosts, Rita and Mel.
We'd like to introduce Nicole Coady, who is a screenwriter and film director of The 12 Dancing Princesses. Welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase, Paris International Film Festival Screenwriter Special. Welcome, Nicole.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me, and I'm so excited to be part of this festival.
Amazing.
Amazing. Well,
Just
congratulations.
Congrats.
I think it's a great achievement. So tell us a little bit about the 12 Dancing Princesses, a little bit of background and the story, as much as you can.
Sure. So this was actually, growing up, one of my favorite fairy tales. And it always kind of blew my mind that there wasn't, like a real feature. There was the animated Barbie movie.
Yeah.
And there have been like some sort of like children's theater, children's TV productions, but there's never been like a real sort of like full-on Disney princess level production of the 12 Dancing Princesses. So I thought it was an amazing opportunity to take a story that I loved and translate it into film. And it's something that I think really speaks to a lot of girls and women. And so it's sort of innately a feminist film, but feminist in the sense that I feel like, you've got 12 different sisters, and there's really room for a whole spectrum of different kinds of girls and young women. Mm-hmm. And so we're not kind of, we're not pigeonholing like, this is what a feminist girl is, or this is what a strong woman is, or, there's room for a character who is an amazing archer and like should be really leading the army for the king. And then there are princesses who just really love needlepoint and embroidery and really get into that and being crafty and doing that. And there's ones that love to be in their beautiful princess dresses and dance, and ones who just want to break out of the castle and ride their horse across the field, So
yeah,
there's really room for, I think, a full expression of all the different kinds of women that there are, which was really exciting to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's so important, because you've captured that fact that we are all different and we are all unique, and that should be celebrated. It shouldn't be hidden, which definitely comes across.
Yes,
So,
absolutely, definitely. So this was selected for Paris International Film Festival. What was the feeling like when you were notified about being selected?
It was a mixture of just absolute delight, because this is a festival. It's such a beautiful festival with such a wonderful mission. Yeah. I love that the festival is showcasing positivity. Mm-hmm. I think we need more of that in the world. So I was really, really thrilled to be chosen to be part of that. And I have also been on festival committee. I've been on the other end where, I've been a judge, judging screenplays, and I know how competitive it is. And so, I just felt really grateful to have kind of made it through when I know how many great scripts there are out there. So that felt really great. And then I did feel a little bit of sadness, because I thought, of all the years to get into the Paris Film Festival or International Film Festival, and it's the one year that I can't actually go to Paris and be part of that. It's one of my very favorite places on earth. Yeah. So that too. But overall, I'm just really thrilled to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, just like what you said about the positivity and also the diversity, which is definitely captured within your screenplay. Again, I know from some parts of the screenplay that you've had, different, different races as well within the 12 dancing princesses, which I thought was phenomenal, because again, you always tend to go with one race. They're either just, all the same, and the traditional sort of outlook on that, which I thought was great.
Yeah, absolutely. That was something that was very, very important to me. And, I was kind of searching for like, okay, they're all supposed to be sisters. So how are we going to have, how are they all going to be from these different races and backgrounds? And, that's when you get to, start using the analytical part of your brain and problem solving in a script. More often I'm more of an intuitive writer. I write from my heart and just what intuitively comes up. But then you hit these snags where you're like, okay, well, now I've got to kind of logically figure out a problem here. And so, at the end of the day, I thought, well, you know what? Some of them half of them are adopted. So there you go. But they're still all sisters. They still all love each other. They still have this all common bond. So yeah, I thought that was really important to showcase. And, I wrote this script several years ago. And, movies, they have their own twists and turns and journeys. So this is not like a brand new script. And at the time I wrote it, there was no Bridgerton out there, right? I've got to give so many props to Shonda Rhimes, and it's amazing she has the clout to go ahead and put a full-on romance novel on Netflix, and to really play with that diversity of character, which of course she's always done and is amazing at, but in this sort of setting. And, and guess what? It was #1 on Netflix.
That's right.
Because I think people want to see representation. And frankly, it's so much more interesting. It's so much more interesting to see a bunch of different characters and how they all interact and what their lives are like and what they're like as people. It's so boring when you look at a screen and everyone's just the same from the exact same background. It's just, so for so many reasons, I just felt like this was a really important thing to do.
Yeah.
And I loved it, and I had fun writing it.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I think actually, I know we spoke about obviously not being able to go to Paris because of the timing of obviously being selected, but also at the same time, the timing of being selected is perfect because diversity is important right now. It's something the world needs. So I think, being selected for 2021 is actually perfect to get that message across that you're sending out to the world.
I believe that, I believe in divine timing, and, I've seen that often enough with projects I've worked on. And I think the world is ready now. I think they really are. I think they're ready for the diversity. I think they're ready to embrace the full spectrum of the female voice. I think they're ready for a female screenwriter, a female director. I think we've hit that point where, the path can be a little easier now for that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So do you plan to make it a feature?
Absolutely. Yes, that is definitely the plan. I'm in love with movies. I always have been. I mean, since I was 5 years old, I've just been obsessed with movies. I've wanted to be a film director since I was 5, literally, and never deviated from that. So, yeah, I just can't wait until it's safe to go into a movie theater and I can go, because I'm a huge movie fan.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I'd be really, really excited to see it, created and filmed the way I wrote it, which is definitely as a feature film.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I know that's going to be really successful, and you're going to have a band of women on there and males as well, because again, it's about diversity, so we've got to include them. But again, it's about those 12 princesses, whoever they may be. They're really going to push that forefront, as well as the women that are going to be helping on that production. So we can't wait.
Thank you. And that actually brings up a good point when you talk about the male viewers. One thing that I want to say is that, all of my characters are really important to me. Mm-hmm. And so while absolutely, like, the princess thing is what got me as a child and what I still relate to the most. But I also felt that I really wanted their father to be a real character, and, you know, just trying to get into my head, like, what must it be like to be a single dad with 12 daughters?
Exactly.
You know, and so really, you know, give him the time and love to work on that character. And then really important to me was our hero, because we needed a hero who is going to be worthy of our princess. And I don't think that that little boys are being given the kinds of role models that they need. We're not seeing chivalry. We're not seeing gallantry. We're not seeing goodness, you know, put in front of them that much on film, or even more, you know, video games these days, right? Like, they're being exposed to so many negative stereotypes. And so it was really important to me, because boys and men are going to see this, right? And so to model something that he's a strong guy, but he has a heart. He is noble and gallant, just not by birth, but just by character. And that was really important, because, you know, going back to Bridgerton, like, my husband sat and watched all of Bridgerton with me. Like, you know, men are seeing these stories too. So I think it's important that all the characters are rich and well developed.
Yeah, I totally agree. But no, that's a really, you know, again, I mean, the screenplay, you've captured it so well. Those characters really came through on the whole script. And again, like I said, we cannot wait for this to be made. Is there any particular special message that you want to put out there to the viewers about the movie, other than what we've discussed? Script, sorry, yeah, see, I'm already thinking ahead. But for the film script itself, any particular message that you want to put out there to the viewers to entice them that bit more when the production comes out eventually?
More about the script itself, do you mean, or
message of the film? Yeah.
The message of the film. You know, it's funny, I kind of went back and forth about, like, what is this really about? You know, what is this movie really about? And at the end of the day, it is really about love, and that love is magic. And so, you know, these princesses, like, they've been trying to find the magic by going out into this, you know, enchanted island and this enchanted world, and sneaking out every night. And they think that, like, in that place they can be themselves. In that place they can feel the magic. And what, you know, it's not too big of a spoiler, I don't think, but, like, what we realize by the end is that, you know, they have the magic inside them, and we all do. And that magic is love. It is love at the end of the day. And so that is really the message of the film.
Beautiful.
Yeah, really is.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Thank you for that, Nicole. So where can our viewers go to find out more about you and your future projects?
Sure. So they can go to my website, which is www.prinrock, which is my company, PRINROC, prinrock.com. And then I'm on Instagram at Nicole Coady Film. And I have other websites and stuff, but, like, that's probably a good starting place. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, Nicole, for being a guest, and congratulations once again on being being officially selected for Paris International Film Festival as part of our Screenwriters Award. Thank you again, Nicole. Take care.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate it. And it was really wonderful to meet you both.
You're welcome. We'd like to welcome Siún O'Connor to RIME Entertainment Showcase Screenwriter Special. Welcome, Siún.
Welcome. Thank you. So tell us about your screenplay.
Okay, my screenplay Irreverence. It's a little drama, but with elements of kind of dark comedy in it, and it's about a strained mother-daughter relationship, and kind of like the grandmother basically wants to baptize the granddaughter behind the mother's back. So that's the premise of it. Yeah.
Amazing. So in terms of the inspiration behind it, what triggered you to write this screenplay? Was there anything in particular, or was it just an idea that popped up one day?
Oh, well, I mean, it comes from real life, you know. I mean, you know, I think that like when my child was born, I definitely christened just for my mother. You know, I didn't really have any major draw, you know, to do something like that, but I felt like I needed to do that. So yeah, it's from, and just from talking to anybody, really, so many people, you know, do these religious rituals for someone else, I suppose. So yeah, so that's where it comes from, real life, and a strained mother-daughter relationship as well. I mean, thankfully we've worked through loads, you know. I think becoming a parent yourself changes everything in terms of your relationship with your mother. So yeah, we're on the good side of it now, but yeah, it's all from real life ideas. Yeah.
Amazing.
Great. I mean, what inspires you to write anyway? I mean, you know, be it this screenplay or other screenplays that you've written, what do you find you get your inspiration from?
Yeah, I suppose I love that, you know, things aren't always what they seem, really, I suppose, and that, you know, we're so quick to judge, and I just be like most interested in characters or people who appear to be one way but are very, very different. You know, life's incredibly complex, people are incredibly complex, so that's what interests me, you know, conflicted people who are conflicted, you know, and feeling both ways about something, you know. So that's what excites me, and
yeah. I think what I like about that is because you're actually exploring people's minds. You know, it's like it's not just black and white. It's like, no, there's actually more to this story, and with that you're actually going in and showing the reader or the viewer what is going on and why people think the way that they do. So I think that's an important storyline that people should look at. So that's great.
Absolutely. You mentioned that it's a little bit of a comedy as well, and I know obviously there's some elements of quirkiness. Were there any particular scenes that maybe you could share with the viewers, or is everything top secret?
Oh, it's top secret. Yeah, like it's top secret because, you know, I really want to make this year. So not until it's happening. I don't know, is that silly?
And we'll be the first ones to make sure that everyone watches it as soon as it's ready, because like I said, it's a really good story. So you've done so much amazing work with that film. So in terms of the selection, so you've been selected as part of Paris International Film Festival. How does that feel, being part of that selection?
Yeah, like that was such a boost. That was the biggest boost I think I've ever had. I mean, I've made films obviously in the past, but that was just to be coming outside of Ireland, for me, it was just like, it was just a real good boost, and it was a much needed boost as well, you know, because it's such a solitary thing. And if you're not getting any validation from anybody, you can absolutely just, you know, just fall by the wayside, which was what happened to me for many years, you know. So I think that it was a lovely boost for me, meant everything. And then to actually be in the festival and feel on a par with filmmakers and feel that I really enjoyed the whole platform, the online platform, and networking. It really suited me, you know. I just felt like I could talk to anybody, and you know, whereas in reality I probably would have shied away from people and not felt confident enough talk to certain people. So.
Totally agree. Yeah, absolutely.
It was a good stepping stone, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think for many people that were facing similar apprehension, because again, for a normal film festival, you know, you have to have that confidence in just talking face to face. But again, the fact that it was online and you still have that apprehension of, okay, going online, what's it going to be like? But again, I think it was really well put together. And again, a lot of us were able to connect, which was really, really amazing. Good stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, you mentioned there about the possibility of making it into a film. Obviously not going into too much, because I know you don't want to reveal too much. How is that going in terms of the plans?
Well, yeah, I suppose the selection with Paris gave me that confidence, and I was able to, you know, just talk about my work a little bit more. Kind of, it just kind of gave me a little bit of a boost so that I could approach, or maybe even begin a conversation with somebody about possibly making it. And yeah, so I have secured a production company in Dublin called Arcade Film. Killian and Dan, gorgeous guys. I actually worked with Dan before on my first feature doc. He shot that. So it was, and even though we have that relationship, we have that friendship, I still never felt like I could actually say, here guys, I want to make this, will you make this with me? It wasn't until I had that little stamp from Paris where I'm like, oh, actually people do think that this is a good script, you know, maybe we'll go for this. And yeah, they're thrilled to work with me on it, and we've had 2 development meetings so far, and you know, we're already talking about tone, talking about color palettes. It's very, very exciting. Yeah, it's the dream, you know, this is what I wanted. So yeah.
Oh, congratulations. We're so happy for you. Yeah.
We'll have to get you back on the show and once it's all made.
Definitely. Perfect. So in terms of when we're going back to the script of Irreverence, what is the overall message that you wanted to get through to the viewers when they eventually see the film, but also through the screenplay? Was there a particular message that you wanted to get across?
Well, there's a couple of things, I suppose. I think that like the script is about, I suppose, assumptions about other people, assumptions about, but again, it's got a very religious undercurrent. So it's assumptions about religiosity, I suppose, and but it's also about trying to bridge a gap, because the film's about these 2 people who are really, really struggling to connect and be, you know, and but they do, well, I don't want to obviously give away too much, but it's about, I suppose, it's about respecting each other. And even if we have different views, even if we believe in totally different things, you know, we must respect each other. And I think that's probably one of the core themes in the story.
Yeah. Amazing. Right. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So where can our viewers go to find out more about your work and your future projects?
Well, I have a website, siúnoconnor.com, and yeah, so you can check out there, you can check out all of my documentaries that I've made, and hopefully lovely updates about Irreverence. I mean, the thing about Irreverence as well is that I mean, I don't have money secured or anything like that yet. I mean, I'm so excited about this project. I don't have any funding, but I do know that I have the makings of something great here. I have brilliant people who are wanting to be involved. I have my wish and my ambition, you know, and yeah, so it's going to get made. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I think, you know, that energy that you've got there is going to make it happen. And Definitely. It all starts with that. So, Absolutely. You know, I can't wait to see it.
Definitely, me too. I mean, like we've always said, you've got our full support. The viewers, when that comes out, you'll be the first to know from us when that's ready. But yeah, we just can't wait, and we're super excited for you. Thank you again for sharing your story with us. and thanks for being an amazing guest.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, girls. You're absolutely fabulous. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we'd like to welcome John Cowdell, who is a screenwriter and wrote the screenplay Monster and Me. Welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase, John.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're
It's our
welcome.
pleasure. So tell us about your screenplay.
How much do you want me to tell you about it? Because
As much as you want to share.
Yeah.
but well, even by ruining the ending, that's fine. Basically, The Monster in Me is about this girl and this relationship she has with this monster, who we find out later on is, there's more to this monster than meets the eye, basically.
Mhm.
And we follow the girl through her daily routine. She's like getting up in the morning, having breakfast, the usual thing, and at every step the monster is like stalking her and tormenting her, and it's like, oh, what's going on? Is this like horror? But then it turns out that it is to do with mental health. The monster is actually a manifestation of her depression, because I've been open about it in the last year. I do suffer from depression, and I've done for like the last 20 years. But only recently I've like opened up about it. With like lockdown and everything, it's it's been tough on everyone, hasn't it? Really. So I just thought I got to a point where I thought, sod it, I'm just going to be open about it, and basically, and I wanted to write something that, because like horror's like my favorite genre, as you can tell behind me, and but I wanted to do something really serious and meaningful for once. So I thought, well, it's going to sound weird, but I didn't want to do a film about depression that was going to be depressing. It's like, it's a downer, isn't it? And I'm like, so I thought, can I do it in an entertaining way? And use like horror elements, and that's where the whole monster came from. Basically, I thought, well, what if it's like, as you read it, it's like, is this just like a monster and like a girl, or is it? And then when you get to the end, it's like, oh, right, oh, that's what it is. And then I have all the stats about mental health and depression, and that I've got it written here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, like suicide is the leading cause of death between men and women between the age of 20 and 34, which I thought was quite a shocking statistic.
It is,
And it's and I wanted to raise awareness, basically.
good.
It's like, don't be ashamed of it. I mean, especially I think if you're a man as well, you get, you're supposed to be strong and all this, and you get told to man up and just shake yourself out of it and what have you. And it's like, and I used to be like, I still am, I don't really like discussing it with everyone. I mean, everyone's going to know now, aren't they? But no, I think more men do need to talk about it, because it is a killer, and it's I think a lot of people, some people knew, obviously, like friends and family that know me close, and probably other people suspected, like friends, but I never told them, because I think it was just embarrassment, really. It's like, you don't want people judging you. If you tell someone, like, it's like, what, they don't, if it's hard to understand something if you haven't experienced it yourself.
Of course.
No. And I think, your screenplay is important for people to be aware of, because you're hitting on a topic that so many people are aware of, but they don't know enough about. And I think it sounds like your screenplay opens up people's minds to discover,
what it is,
to discover how living with this is so difficult. So it sounds amazing, and so many people I think would definitely benefit.
Definitely,
from
absolutely.
This. Yeah.
So I mean, your screenplay was selected for Paris International Film Festival. How did that feel to be part of that selection?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Being selected, I was like, to me that's like winning. I was happy to be selected. I don't expect to win anything or anything. So that was like the first time I'd been selected, because I started, you know, some like friends, like actor friends have been saying, why don't you enter your scripts in like competitions and stuff? And I'm like, well, you know, it costs money and there's no guarantee, and I can't really afford to waste that kind of money. But then I thought, you know, I'm not really going anywhere in lockdown. I've got a bit of spare cash because I've got nowhere to go to spend it.
Yeah.
And Paris International Film Festival was, you know, very reasonable in terms of entry fee. So I thought, oh, you know, why not? And it kind of Monster and Me suited the criteria of like, you know, bringing change.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I thought, why not? It might, I don't, you know, if it happens, it happens, and it did, and it's like, oh hell, you know.
Definitely.
And then when I got the winners were announced, at first I didn't win actually. I thought I had to double check it. I even actually spoke to Jenna,
Yeah.
Siún, who's a friend anyway, and you know she runs the festival. I like messaged her. I goes, I think I've won, but I'm not sure. I mean, have I? I mean, because there was like a kind of a spelling mistake. It said Monster in Me, and I'm like, is that me? You know, or is there another script called? So I'm like, I've got to double check this.
Yeah.
At first, I thought, I didn't realise that there were different categories. Like mine won Best Take Care short screenplay, and I thought Take Care was the name of the actual winner. When I first looked at it, I'm like, who's this Take Care that's won? I'm not having this. You know what I mean? I didn't expect to win, but when you think you got a chance, I was getting into it.
Yeah.
And, then I saw, oh no, that's just a category, isn't it? And so I double check. I goes like, Jen, I think I've won. Have I won? She goes, yes, congratulations. I'm like, are you sure? So I'm not going to post on social media that I've won something, and it turns out I haven't. You know, like when La La Land thought they won the Oscar and then it was Moonlight. It's like I'm not. It's embarrassing, isn't it? I'm not. So I'm triple checking here. She goes, yeah, it is. Congrats. And oh, all right, here we go. And I posted it, and I've never had so many notifications on Facebook in my life. It like blew up. Everyone's like saying congratulations. Yeah, people I ain't even spoken to for years, and you know, saying nice things like yourselves. And it was like,
Yeah, it was that pinch me sort of moment, wasn't it?
I mean, I personally don't care about winning awards, to be honest with you. Like fame and doesn't, but I'm not interested in that. It doesn't, you know. I don't mind the money, but but yeah. So yeah, no, it was. I mean, it's nice to be acknowledged. I mean, I wasn't like I says, just being selected was good enough for me.
Yeah.
To win something, and it's the first time I've ever won something for my writing. It's probably the first thing I've won since probably Sports Day when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So,
and many more to come, I'm sure.
Oh.
Brilliant. So, what inspires you to start writing?
What, like from the beginning, or?
Yeah, just
triggers an idea.
Is there something that you see, or you know, you watch a film and you think like, oh, you know, I could have, you know, do something different, but actually, you know, that sort of theme, that topic kind of rings.
Yeah, it comes from lots of things really. I can watching a film or like a piece of music. It could be like just one lyric in a song. Or a scene in a film. I'm thinking, you know, I could do something like that, but a bit different. And anyway, it could be a conversation with someone. Like like during lockdown, I've been chatting to like a good actress friend of mine, and we were just having our usual random chats, and we were talking about, I don't know how we got on the topic, but we were talking about dating and like bad experiences. And she told me, I won't say who it is because she'll probably kill me. But she told me this. I was going like telling her a bad experience of like online dating and what happened. I'm like, you can't top that. And then she told me this experience that she had, and I'm like, yeah, all right, you win. Yours is worse than mine. And that, I thought, that's that's really funny. I'm going to use that in the script. Be careful what you tell her, Raya, because we will use it. We'll change the identities, but if it's funny and if it's good, we'll use it. Conversations and stuff.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So in terms of Monster and Me, is there any plans to actually make this into an actual short film or maybe progress to a feature? Would there be any plans there?
Hopefully. I mean, I've had people interested in it already, like directors and
good
actors, but it always boils down to like funding, where's the money coming from? So at the moment, I'm gonna try and probably budget the script and try and get a rough idea of how much it will cost. I mean, I don't think it will cost much, and maybe a funding, but that's something I'll need help with because that's not really my expertise. And I have been thinking now I can sort of do I would love to do a feature about the subject. It's serious. And but I don't think the Monster and Me, the actual story, would extend into a feature. I think it works better as a short because it's contained. But I do have ideas for like a possible feature film about depression, but doing it again in like using horror elements and fantasy, because I don't want to make a depressing. I want it to, you can entertain and educate at the same time. I think I believe you can.
That's
so. I've got some ideas about that, but nothing past brainstorming.
Sounds good. Well, we do look forward to the possibility of seeing it as a short film. I'm sure, if that does come about, which I'm sure it will, please do let us know. We'd love to
be the first to
be
plug it.
Promoting it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Excellent.
So where can our viewers go to find out more about John Cowdell?
Well, I'm at Johnny Cowdell on both Twitter and Instagram. That's pretty it for the time being. I'm more probably on Instagram than I am on Twitter, if I'm honest. Facebook, I'm on Facebook as well, but that's more sort of my personal page. So but yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, I mean, I will get back to anyone that messages me. I've had people, because I do post, I've been posting a lot of like mental health sort of memes and quotes on Instagram, as like, to begin with, they were just to sort of help me and maybe like get stuff off my chest. I can't really say it, but I can.
Sometimes that's easier.
And I think some of it was probably a cry for help. It's like, this is how I'm feeling at the moment. And I've got messages from people, even people I don't even know, like going, I really appreciate, these posts have helped me, as a sufferer, and like, these messages and stuff, and, please keep posting them, because I wasn't going to just keep posting them, but I do try and post at least one a day now. And so I thought, all right, I'll keep it up then if you, it helps you. So, that was nice.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, John, I mean, it's been a pleasure to talk to you about your script, Monster and Me. We can't wait to hear further about some other projects again, further scripts as well. Again, looking at the dating one, I'm sure that would be absolutely excellent. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that could relate to that as well. But yeah, so again, thank you so much for taking the time to be our guest, and we wish you all the best in your future projects.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We'd like to welcome Madhu Powar Garg, who is a screenwriter for her feature film Indian Summer. Madhu, welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
Amazing.
Welcome. So tell us about your screenplay.
So Indian Summer is a coming of age story, and it's about a young girl who's proud to be Indian, who's growing up in India, but then she discovers that she's not all Indian after all. And the script is about her dilemma and how she's going to handle her multiracial situation. And in the script, we go along with her on this journey of discovery and acceptance. But this journey of discovery and acceptance is not just about her, but it's also about generally about, I mean, it's not just about finding her father, but it's also of the acceptance of another race, another culture, another mindset. So it has a strong female protagonist. In fact, all the female characters in it are quite strong, and that seems to be the way all my projects go.
Great.
Amazing.
Great. Sounds great.
So a lot of your, again, with your script, Indian Summer, it's got a lot of things around diversity, the difference in terms of age groups as well. What was your, I would say, your main inspiration behind that to make sure all of this was covered?
So I grew up in India, and I came to the United States for my education in my early 20s. But eventually, you know, after I had my own children and everything, I started meeting children of Indian friends who had married non-Indians and who were in biracial marriages. And it, as people were having children, I couldn't help notice how the children, many of the children of my friends looked so Indian that if you mix them with my children, you couldn't say that one of them had a blonde-haired, blue-eyed parent.
Yeah.
And it always struck me how the gene pools seem to be skewed. Having said that, my very close friend's brother actually also entered a biracial marriage, but his children look completely white. So, you know, it just sort of, you know, it just aroused my curiosity. And I think somewhere eventually this sort of storyline got formed in my head. The story itself is purely fictional.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you find, in terms of your inspiration, does it come from like relationships that you have with people, the interaction you have with people, or does it come from other sources or mixed sources? What would you say your main inspiration comes from to write a screenplay?
So, like I said, the storyline itself is purely fictional. When you actually write and you're actually, you know, thinking of scenes and dialogues, and so I'm a very visual person, and when I write, it's playing like a movie in my own head.
Yeah.
So people always say, well, like, for example, Indian Summer is based in Los Angeles and some in Delhi. I'm not even from Delhi, I'm from Mumbai. And people are like, well, why Delhi? why Los Angeles? Why not New York? Why not Mumbai? And it's just the way it played out in my head. And I guess, you know, like, I cast it in my head also, by the way, which helps me write, because I have actual people saying the dialogues in my head. So Bradley Cooper's in it.
Amazing, yeah.
Priyanka Chopra. And but really the dialogues and everything comes all out of your own experiences in life.
Yeah.
I happen to have a a 21-year-old daughter. And so I knew that a 21-year-old growing up in the US would speak a certain way as versus say certain things which, you know, someone in their 50s would not, even though I'm the one writing, that I knew that the protagonist would not think or speak this way. So you do take a lot of inspiration from real life, real people that you know, but you know, it doesn't mean that the story is theirs.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic tips there that you've mentioned. And I think, like you said, when you've got like these images of actors or the sounds in your head, it just makes the writing flow a lot better, and you just find that you're in the film rather than just writing it from a different from an outsider's perspective. So yeah, no, it's excellent.
Absolutely. It makes a big difference, especially if you've been, like, you know, I've been to Delhi many times, I've been to Los Angeles, my mother lives in Los Angeles. So I knew, in fact, after I wrote the script, I had written about a certain street, and I actually drove there and made sure that I was writing about the right, you know, I described the street or certain, you know, places in the street, and then I, you know, wanted to make sure that I was not making it up as such.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, your film script was selected as part of Paris International Film Festival. How did it feel to be part of the selection?
Very, very honored, very happy, especially when during the festival I saw the films that they had selected and that were shown. I really appreciated those selections. So it was nice to see that my screenplay was part of that group of you know, selected films. You know, I really enjoyed like the short, the High Score, Anti-Racism, Ruby Red. The one I wanted to see but missed was Cream, like I said. And I kind of really want to compliment on how well organized the Paris International Film Festival was, especially during COVID times. Although one of the disadvantages of winning during these times also is that you miss attending in person.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we would have all loved to have been in Paris for.
Because I also won actually at the London Independent Film Festival, and I would have loved to say I'm going to London and then I'm going to Paris, but no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm on Zoom. So
maybe next time.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the overall message that you want people to gain from your screenplay?
I actually also think this is one of the reasons why maybe the screenplay has done so well. It's won over 20 awards. I shouldn't say that it's won 20 awards, but it's been placed, you know, final selections, or even like depending on, you know, different film festivals do it in different ways. I think the message really is how the world is equal, and how people from each country and part of the world are so proud of who they are, what their culture is, what their food is, what their skin color is, what their language is, what their customs are. And that there is so much joy in accepting and appreciating each one and enjoying them for what they are and learning from them, rather than competing and fighting over which one is superior. The you know, screenplay tackles, it's not a heavy set screenplay, it's pretty light, but even though the subject is meaningful, it's, you know, it still tackles, you know, stereotypes and all, but in a lighthearted way, you know, trying not to hurt anybody's feelings, but still sort of trying to show the pride and the strength in different cultures.
Definitely. No, that definitely comes across. I mean, what are your plans to move forward with Indian Summer?
Absolutely would love to see it on screen someday. I feel though it's really important to find the right producer and director. There has to be, you know, some sensitivity to, I mean, it is, like I said, it is not a heavy set film or screenplay, but at the same time, if you miss the subtle nuances, then you also miss not just the comedic timing, but also getting the messages across. I'm in the process of identifying producers and would love any suggestions or help I can get. You know, this process is new to me, so I need all the help I can get.
Yeah.
But like I said, looking for the right fit.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah. Both ready. Are you working on any other projects at the moment whilst you're, contemplating sort of getting this made into a film, or are you focused more on Indian Summer?
So before all this, so the reason I send Indian Summer to film festivals is because they give you feedback.
Yeah.
And a lot of festivals give written feedback. And once I discovered the platform from which you sent, I was like, wonderful. And I just send them to, I don't know, 30 or so. And so my reason, like I said, was to get feedback, because Indian Summer is my first screenplay.
Yeah.
And so, getting the accolades was a nice surprise. But unfortunately, it also disturbed my writing, because you're scheduling so many things and trying to follow up, and then the feedback also meant some of them wanted me to send back after I had worked on the notes, and then of course you're getting 20 different feedbacks from 20 different directions, and each one's like, you don't have to accept it, but do send us the revise. And I'm like, but I don't want to change this part, and I don't want to change that. But so that's actually taken up a few of my months. But prior to that, I had actually started writing a novel about 10 years ago, and I had quit it because I did not have any confidence in myself. But after I finished Indian Summer last summer, I actually went back to the novel, and I wrote about 250 pages. And I decided, first I thought I would write it as a screenplay. But then when I went back to my original novel, I thought, let me just continue it as a novel, and then I'll go back and write it as a screenplay. But the two are very different writing styles.
Definitely,
and so now I'm thinking, now that I've again stopped writing that novel, I'm going to go back and do it as a screenplay. It's completely different in the sense, again, and I seem to always be doing this, is again, it's an Indian female protagonist, but then that's how I think.
Yeah.
But this time it's someone in her 50s who is grappling with some choices. It's actually juxtaposition between her teenage and then her 50s.
Amazing.
In the middle.
That's really good. We'll make sure we'll keep an eye out for that.
Definitely.
So basically, do not lose touch with us, because we want to learn more about these projects.
Oh, absolutely. I would love for you to read it.
Amazing. Definitely. Well, Madhu, I mean, where can our viewers go to find out more about you?
I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn. I guess those are the places to message me, DM me.
Perfect.
Stay in touch.
Amazing. Great. Well, I mean, we'd like to just say again, congratulations again for being part of the selection for Paris International Film Festival. Thank you again for being a great guest on our show. And again, we can't wait to hear more. And we're looking forward to Indian Summer being made. So that's definitely on our, it's going to be on our vision board as well, so that everyone can see it.
We'll get Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, let's try and get Bradley Cooper to play.
He needs to watch this, and so does Priyanka Chopra.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just want to say again, I'm so honored. Thank you so much. It was a very pleasant surprise. I am really honored, and would love to do it proud by one day showing the film there.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you again
so much.
Thank you to both of you.
We'd like to welcome Dom Lenoir, who is a screenwriter, director and producer. Welcome, Dom, to RIME Entertainment Showcase.
Hello, nice to meet you guys.
You too. So tell us about the screenplay.
So his name is James, is the story of a father who's going through a very difficult time. His son dies in a tragic accident on holiday. And after that, he becomes consumed with revenge at the idea that someone was responsible for his son's death. Along the way, he meets a young woman in a self-help group who also has a difficult past and has a good sense of humor and a very critical outlook on life. And together they become sort of unlikely friends. Meanwhile, he's been plotting an investigation into the guy he thinks is responsible for his son's death. and the story sort of culminates in his journey, where he goes back to America to find out what happened and plot his revenge. But B, the young woman he meets along the way, surprises him on the trip and throws a spanner into the works. But it's a story of redemption and coming to terms with parental grief.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Sounds very much like a kind of feature film. Any plans to make it a feature film?
Yeah, it's currently written as a feature script. I mean, that's kind of my world, is feature filmmaking. I've done 3 features to date, and I've always had a focus on sort of powerful dramas, also with the thriller elements, I guess, is prevalent in a lot of my work. But this is one of several projects I've sort of been developing for myself as a director, to sort of tell stories that matter.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a strong story there for that particular script. I mean, the inspiration behind His Name Was James. I mean, tell us a bit more about that. What triggered that idea?
It's difficult to say, really. I think it tends to be quite an undefinable thing. I watch films that move me, and I think a lot of the films that have sort of inspired me have been down to parental or childhood tragedies. Mystic River was one of the first films I ever sort of remember thinking of as a director in mind, and it's a story I haven't told, and I think it's a very powerful thing to try and deal with. And I was looking to develop something myself, as some of my other projects are sort of bigger budget than this, and this is something I hadn't explored yet, and I thought would make a really interesting story. And it's set in America as well, which is somewhere I'm very keen to sort of film because of my my interest in American cinema and the culture.
Yeah. So obviously being a writer and director, how is it when you make that transition to directing your film? I mean, do you find that you come up with more new ideas that you add to the script, or do you tend to stick to the screenplay? How does it work in terms of that transition?
I mean, I think it's a sort of I'll give you a sort of a very double-edged answer, but I think in a sense the pro and the con of being a writer and a director is the pro is that there's a hell of a lot of detail that you put into your work, because you're thinking of how you would direct it as you're writing it. At least I do, in a manner of speaking. So there's a lot of detail, and that's one of the pros, but it's also a challenge because you've got to kind of strip it back for the average reader that's not looking at it with the director's eyes. But I think once you go on set, there's a lot of stuff that is sort of informed by the scenery and the process of working with the actors, especially like when you see locations and you start to get a feel for them. Something might change that you sort of hadn't imagined or developed. So I tend to sort of work as the script as a sort of a blueprint, but be quite open to as the actual production develops, changing things on the day. And similarly with the edit, sometimes you get to the end of the edit and you see something new that might work better than the way that you've even shot it in a couple of scenes, and you can sort of change things around.
No, that's really insightful, and it's good to see it from both aspects as well, because again, as a writer, you might feel like I have so much control over this, and then as soon as it's in the director's hands, and lucky if you're doing both, then you get to expand on that and really kind of explore a little bit more. And I feel like obviously being adaptable to change is definitely a skill that's needed. Yeah. So the script was selected at the Paris International Film Festival. How did that feel when you were notified?
Oh, it was a fantastic feeling, especially because it's a script I've put a lot of effort and time and sort of passion into, and in the past I sort of hadn't really entered scripts or even thought of entering scripts into competitions, but with this I felt like, because it was something I'd really developed myself, obviously I worked with a writer who sort of came up with the initial draft and we sort of developed things more, but as things went down the line as a director, I kind of did more and more passes on it, and sort of added my mark. So it was a very personal project, and being selected in a festival is always an amazing feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say is the main message that you want people to gain from your script?
I think it's a message of redemption, that sometimes there are very difficult paths to finding peace, and that people have had a lot of tragedies. It can be a very challenging time, and their view of the world can become quite impaired in some respects, or quite tragic. And I think it's just a message in hope, and people sort of that have damaged pasts being able to heal.
It's a great message, and again, it can touch so many people at different points in their lives as well. So great message there.
I've always thought of films as, I think there is often a film for every situation, as in people that are going through tremendous struggle. There'll generally be some kind of film that they can watch, and it will give them either the answer to their personal problem at the time, or some kind of catharsis. And I sort of believe in that as a sort of a process of filmmaking.
Yeah, definitely. Those messages really speak to you at that right time, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does happen. So, I mean, I know you've mentioned obviously the part of where you would like to make His Name Was James into a feature film, and that's one part of it. Are there any other projects that you are looking to work on or currently working on at the moment?
I'm developing a documentary, but that's not something I've announced yet, so I can't really talk about that. As well as that, I've got a film noir that I'm looking to do as probably the next film after this. I'm always open to looking at scripts. Generally, a lot of my work tends to be stuff that I've developed, but I'm very open to sort of collaborations. So I suppose I'm pretty interested to sort of read other people's work. Obviously, the last year's slightly slowed down existing projects, so there's a lot of stuff that I was set to produce or direct that's kind of been postponed or delayed. So it's kind of just getting my bearings and working ahead with everything that's available.
Brilliant. That's great. Yeah. What inspires you in terms of making the film, script writing?
It really does have to be something that personal, and it doesn't have to be something that I've personally experienced, but it has to be something that's moved me. I'm not someone that can just sort of pick up a script, think this is reasonable and let's shoot it. It has to be something that really resonates with me in some element, or something where I can see an angle where I can work with the writer or the team to put some kind of element that I can latch onto that's maybe not in the story or not strong enough. But I tend to like journey movies. I like stories that go places physically, as well as the characters' arcs. In terms of genre, it tends to be sort of drama is the sort of general basis, but thrillers, sci-fi, fantasy, biopics are all pretty interesting to me in terms of what I look for.
Yeah. And would you say, because obviously you mentioned about that you're open to working with other script writers, would that be the same sort of genre that you would be looking for if you were to work with others in collaboration as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty open in terms of collaboration. I've co-written quite a few scripts, and I find that every single script that you co-write has a very different way that you write it. Sometimes you go over and you just tweak a bit of dialogue. Sometimes you may go over the scene descriptions to sort of change it. There are times when someone will do a whole draft and you'll give them notes, and then vice versa. And there's also projects I've done where you're pretty much sort of writing alternate scenes and then rewriting each other's scenes. So it's extremely sort of labor intensive, but you're both sort of 100% into the project. I think for me, like the writing process is down to the individual, like how I would collaborate, slightly more than the genre. If it's a story that engages, I think it's just, you have to be very clear in terms of how you would collaborate, and how you communicate in terms of both communicating what you want to get across into the story. So you don't go around in circles and do two different directions, which can happen.
Exactly, yeah. And then also getting to that point of, if it hits you a certain way, are you getting that point across? And if it's the other writer, and again, definitely having that similar wavelength is definitely a pro to moving forward with that. Excellent.
Yeah.
So in terms of knowing more about you, Dom, and following the upcoming projects and even following the journey of His Name is James, where can our viewers go to find out more about you?
So director Dom Lenoir or Dom Lenoir. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Generally with projects, I don't announce stuff until it's fairly concrete, because you have multiple projects. But if there is something that's sort of going ahead, then it's generally in one of those places that you'll sort of find out. So it's good to sort of keep in mind that for information. And there's a lot of projects that I am producing in various capacities as well. And there's often sort of opportunities to collaborate on that as well. So
excellent.
And I do also run a film event called Make Your Film, which hopefully will be coming back in the summer. It was a very popular sort of London-based panel show about indie filmmaking, which I run with Giles Alderson from the Filmmakers Podcast. And I also co-host on the Filmmakers Podcast on certain episodes as well, which is a really good resource for people from indie all the way up to Hollywood on how to make your films.
Excellent, perfect. So we'll make sure that everyone heads over to those pages, starts following, and starts giving it a good listen as well. So we'll look forward to those tips. Well, Dom, thank you so much for being our guest on the Screenwriter Special. Again, we wish you all the luck in terms of making His Name was James and all the other projects that are upcoming. But again, as soon as those projects are up and running, we'll make sure that we do a bit of a plug as well, so everyone knows to follow you and to follow those projects as well. Okay.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for having me.
You are welcome.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more RIME Entertainment Showcase.